From shadowy cemeteries to studio spotlights, we explore what fuels the world's obsession with fear, chilling the spine and stirring the soul. This is Working the Fright Shift.
Clock into Working the Fright Shift, the gateway between imagination and fear, with your host, Ted Doherty.
Welcome, night dwellers, to Working the Fright Shift. I'm your host, Ted Doherty, and this is your backstage pass to fear, storytelling, and transformation. I'm thrilled to feature today's guest, the one, the only, Jon Cooke. But before we dive into that chilling conversation, let's crack open this week's horror blueprint and take a look at what frightens us most.
The Horror Blueprint, the art behind the fear.
Today, we are digging into the absolute brilliance of Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock's game-changing horror masterpiece. This isn't just an old scary movie, it flipped the entire genre on its head. Twists, tension, and a villain who's probably creepier than most any monster. It all comes together in a film that's still shaping how we experience fear today. From haunted attractions to psychological thrillers, Psycho's impact goes way beyond what he put up on the screen. When Psycho opened in 1960, it did not play by the rules. Hitchcock shocked audiences by killing off the main character super early, throwing in intense editing choices, and introducing Norman Bates, a villain who wasn't some supernatural beast, but something much scarier. A regular guy with terrifying psychological issues. Before Psycho, horror was all about monsters, the stuff lurking in the shadows. But this movie made us realize that the real horror might just live in the mind. And that changed everything. Think about movies like John Carpenter's Halloween, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Silence of the Lambs, even recent movies like Hereditary and Get Out. They all owe something to Psycho. Suddenly, fear wasn't just about a creature under the bed. It was about the person next door, the lonely motel owner with a weird vibe, or even our own thoughts. Hitchcock wasn't just about shocking audiences, he controlled them. He mastered the art of suspense, keeping people right on the edge before hitting them with the scare. He knew fear isn't just about what we see, it's about what we expect. Think about when you're standing in line for a notoriously scary attraction. That anticipation is making you nervous. It's the same kind of thing. It's playing with our minds. Take the infamous shower scene. It's brutal, yes. But what makes it really terrifying is how it's filmed. Those rapid cuts, those jarring violin shrieks, the feeling that Marion Crane is totally vulnerable. It's a masterpiece in horror. And guess what? That same technique still shapes horror today. Slasher movies, haunted house attractions, even escape rooms. They all build up tension, misdirect you, and bam! Hit you when you least expect it. Hitchcock's fingerprints are everywhere in modern horror. And on that note, the influence of Psycho isn't just stuck in movie theaters, it's seeped into the way we experience fear firsthand. Just look at Halloween theme parks, immersive horror theater, even horror streaming. It all ties back to Hitchcock's psychological terror. Think about events like Halloween Horror Nights and Knott's Scary Farm and those types of things. Just like Psycho, these attractions mess with your mind. They lull you into feeling safe, then rip the rug right out from under you. Monsters lurking where you least expect them? That is classic Hitchcock. What about immersive horror theater? Did any of you go to Sleep No More in New York before it closed? Or maybe you've been to Delusion or Creep in Los Angeles. These horror experiences trap you into unsettling situations. You're not just watching horror, you're living it. It's exactly the kind of tension Hitchcock perfected. What about horror, streaming, and media? Shows like American Horror Story and psychological thrillers use all of Hitchcock's tricks. Slow dread, shocking twists, and moments that keep you guessing. The bottom line? Psycho didn't just change horror movies. It changed how we feel fear. Hitchcock didn't just create a legendary classic. He rewrote the rules of horror. He made terror feel personal and unpredictable, proving that the scariest threats aren't lurking in the shadows, but they might just be standing right beside you. And today, whether we're watching a horror film, wandering through a haunted attraction, or stepping into an immersive scare experience, we're still following his path, which leads us straight inside the horror blueprint. From ritual relics to blood-soaked blueprints, we've just unraveled how horror is constructed from the ground up. But now, let's turn the lens to those who build the dread from behind the scenes. From scare actor to creative visionary, Jon Cooke has carved a legendary path through the haunted attraction and Halloween theme park industries. As the founder of Plague Productions and former creative director for 13th Floor Entertainment Group, Jon has conjured unforgettable experiences for Queen Mary's Dark Harbor, the Los Angeles Haunted Hayride, and several others. But before that, he created some of the most iconic mazes in Not Scary Farm history. His work blends theatrical storytelling, immersive design, and visceral horror to create attractions that linger long after the fog clears. Whether crafting legendary Scary Farm mazes like Paranormal Incorporated, Dark Ride, and so many others, or collaborating with companies like Lionsgate on cinematic haunt experiences, Jon's passion for Halloween pulses through every scream-inducing detail. This week's Fear Architect is ready to peel back the curtain on their twisted design.
Fear Architects, crafting worlds of terror.
Welcome to Working the Fright Shift, Jon Cooke. I'm so happy that you're here. First off, how you doing? Where are you calling in from today?
I'm great. This is super exciting. I think, this is something I told you. I was like, you need to do a podcast. Like after your book, audio tape that you did, I was like, it's so good. The spooky community needs more audio stories from Ted Doherty. But yes, I'm doing great. I am calling in from Orlando, Florida.
Jon, I appreciated it. Yes, you are the spark behind all of this madness. And so you are the first to do this with me. So I really appreciate you being here. And full disclosure, for those who don't know, I work with Jon. And so this is a nice deviation from our usual meetings and various projects and all of that good stuff. So we can kind of let loose a little bit and talk about Halloween and horror. And so with that said, I do have some questions for you.
Great.
So first one, and I tried to come up with questions that you probably haven't been asked a zillion times, but what are your earliest Halloween memories and how did they shape your love for the scary season?
I think that my earliest memories probably the earliest one is me and my brother used to share a room, and we had bunk beds, and I remember laying in the top bunk bed at like 2 p.m. trying to force myself to go to sleep so I could wake up and it'd be time to go trick-or-treating Halloween night. I just remember loving Halloween, running around the neighborhood, causing a little bit of chaos, getting candy, having fun with the friends. That's probably my earliest memory. And then I would say like another memory that set me on this course that I'm now living is I remember going into a small home haunt. It probably wasn't even considered a home haunt back in the day, late 80s, early 90s, right? And going into a garage where there was a bowl of candy on a table and going up to grab that candy, and somebody underneath the table grabbing my leg and scaring the shit out of me. And I ran out of there crying and never wanting to go back. And then, a little bit after that, after I've recovered, I was like, oh, that was really cool. Like, is there more of that kind of stuff throughout trick-or-treating? And then, like probably many people that are listening to this, the first trip to Not Scary Farm, and I think that was really what sealed the deal for me. I haven't thought about this obviously in forever, but I remember up for that, thinking of like, oh, how can we do that? And me and my friends like trying to figure out like how do we get on the roof of the house and scare people from above, and like we just like it just kicked off the whole new set of thoughts in my head. But yes, anyways.
And you mentioned Not Scary Farm, and you were a scare actor at Not
Mhm.
Scary Farm. Now, how did that experience as a monster influence your approach when it comes to designing?
Really, I think it's kind of the foundation for everything. I think having the insight of scaring and what works and what doesn't work as a scare actor, and being able to take that experience and weave it into the designs and the layouts and all that, I think just helps to become an effective haunted house designer. But I think beyond that too, just I made it a point to try and work in all the different facets of at Not Scary Farm, whether it was carpentry, props, set dressing, all those different things, all to be able to take all that information and roll it up into a well-rounded, well-experienced designer. I think all those different things have helped me craft various different attractions that I guess could be considered successful. But even after that, continuing to scare in the haunted houses that I designed, I'd always try to take one night and go put on a costume and a mask and go work the different scenes and rooms inside the haunted houses, and same thing, just is this working? Is this not working? Are the guests being directed where we want them to be directed to set up the scares? Is this position miserable for a scare actor to be in all night? How can we make this better? How can we improve it? All those different things. So yeah, I say being a scare actor makes you a good designer.
I fully agree. I love it. And it's in those trenches all those years, especially at an event like Not Scary Farm, where there's so many guests. There's thousands and thousands of people funneling through that entire event. And it's really kind of that early, like on the job training on how to do all of this stuff. And then you did mention all the years of carpentry and build and props and all of that that ultimately paved the way into designing attractions for Knott's. Plague Productions. We have created haunts across the country. What is your process for adapting horror to different audiences in different cities, different states?
I think we have a formula that works for any audience, really. We have our tried and true go-to scare tactics and different gags, if you will, approaches to design and set dressing, all these different kind of things that we've standardized over the years, and then we tailor them to whatever it is that we're doing, depending on what type of experience. Is it a standard haunted house? Is it more interactive? Is it a pop-up experience? What is the throughput capacity? All these different things that we take into consideration, that we tailor the design to. Not Scary Farm was a great sandbox to grow and learn and design in. And now that it's been expanded across the country, we've taken those experiences. Now we're tailoring them to different markets. And that's really fun. We've gone up into abandoned prisons in Chicago, when we've tied into that local folklore, up in Minnesota and tying in all the different cryptid folklore. So it's just kind of fun to be able to pull all these different references and wrap them up within our standard process, and be able to put together really cool content all across the country for all different walks of life of people to come and enjoy.
It's true. And the thing about it is, in some ways, there's certain things that can work well in like a Southern California market where like Not Scary Farm is and Universal Horror Nights and all that stuff that may or may not translate perfectly to somewhere else in the Midwest or the East Coast or whatever, and vice versa too. And so it's also about taking the time to, like what you said, educate yourself and say, okay, what is the local folklore? Is there anything local that we can kind of hang our hats on a little bit to help drive how we're going to scare these different people? But when we think about these different people, we also think about the various companies that you have worked with, including Paramount, FX Networks, Lionsgate. How do you balance creative freedom with brand expectations?
Luckily, all of us that work together underplaying productions really enjoy the genre of horror and Halloween and all these different things. And typically going into the projects, it's something, the IP is something we have a deep understanding of. And if we don't, we educate ourselves and take the time to become familiar and what all the different tropes are and the novelty of them and things that really resonate with the fans of those particular films. We probably say it going into every project, but we want to pay homage to whatever this thing is and pull the great moments out of it and bring those to life. I think it's that balance of like, okay, how do we hit all those marks as well as continue to push boundaries and keep it innovative? Another thing that we always try to do is if you remove the IP, would this still be a good, compelling experience and attraction? Would it still thrill and scare guests and do all those things? And we always try to check those boxes. Then you layer in the IP on top of that. And I think it just makes it even better. So I would say it's two trains of thoughts, but they kind of always have to be aligned and work well together.
And so, with that in mind, though, when you are designing and conceptualizing different attractions, who do you picture first? Die-hard hardcore fan, the casual theme park guest, or you? Like you're channeling your inner monster, and why?
I would say I'd probably start with just the average guest, making sure that anybody going through this is going to first off understand and get it, what they're walking through. It's going to thrill them, scare them, keep their attention, and be a good, compelling experience for that person. And then from there, we start layering in all the details and building in all the stuff for the diehards, I would say. Giving that deep dive guest something to latch onto as well, and building on top of that, and then then I would say I would comb through it through the eyes of an actor, make sure all the scares are set up correctly, making sure the access points for the actor to get in and out of the space are there and safe, and making sure they have all the tools to be successful as well. And I think when you have those three pillars established, you have a pretty good attraction ready to go.
I love it. And I think it's true. And I think it's just about being aware of who the audience is, right? And I think that's key, making sure that the guests understand what it is. And if it is some new concept, making sure that it is something that they could easily latch on to and immediately understand. Because the types of stories that are told with these types of attractions have to be told very quickly. There's not a lot of time for long-winded exposition or anything like that. You kind of really have to hit the ground running for these types of experiences. Changing gears just a little bit, when we think about things like Midsummer Scream or Transworld or Spooky Swap Meet, how important are these conventions, trade shows to the haunt industry, and what do they mean to you personally?
I think it's hard for me to speak to how important they are to the industry. I think it's probably a case by case on what business is we're looking through the lens of. But I would say for me and for fans, it's more opportunity to have our love for Halloween, haunted attractions, horror continue to grow. It gives us opportunity to connect deeper with different vendors and experiences and attractions, as well as each other as fans of the stuff. It really gives the place for the industry to flourish and grow. That was always my thought when, especially back with Knott's, and then continuing on with whether it was Queen Mary Dark Harbor, LA Haunted Hayride, whatever it may be, is like, yes, we're probably preaching to the choir with this audience, right? This audience is probably already going to these events, but it gives us an opportunity to connect with the fans, allow the fans to connect deeper with the experience, the attraction. I always love that. I always loved to see how excited people were to see these different events. And it was awesome to be able to give back to the community by creating cool stuff for these events for people to come and enjoy and experience.
Right. And so to kind of clarify, we're talking almost two different types of shows. We've got Midsummer Scream, which has some hybrid elements, but it's primarily like a fan convention. Spooky Swap Meet is vendor-driven, community Halloween type of experience. And then we've got trade shows like Transworld. I remember, I think it was your first time stepping into the show floor for Transworld, turning that corner and walking in and seeing everything that's happening. Can you talk a little bit about what that first impression was like for you?
Yeah, so my first rant was definitely all geared towards like Midsummer Scream and the fan conventions. Spooky Swap Meet is just just for the love of the game. That's it. It was just something during COVID. We're like, God, we need Halloween. What can we do? And that was the solution. But yes, Transworld. The first time I walked into the Transworld show floor, had to pick my jaw up off the floor for sure. Just like completely like, oh my God, this is everything I would ever want a haunted house convention to be. Every vendor I've ordered off of the internet on was there, and getting to meet all these people and seeing all the different. I really love seeing all the different shirts for all the different haunted houses from all over the world, walking around in one place. It's like, okay, these are my people. We're all like-minded. This is awesome. I never want this to end. But yes, yeah, Transworld is definitely very integral to the industry. Gives a really nice platform for anybody involved with haunted attractions to go and see the latest and greatest, and be able to place orders for the season. So Transworld's kind of like feels like the unofficial kickoff of haunt build season. After Transworld happens, orders are placed, and it's time to get going.
Absolutely. And the great thing that I've observed with Transworld over the years is it does speak to really all levels of haunters. So you could have a great yard display or a home haunt walkthrough, all the way up to we know the theme parks attend Transworld every year. All the huge independent and pro haunts go. So it's really got something for everybody. And so it is kind of like a Halloween buyer's like wonderland. So yes, absolutely. Now, even though Halloween is like a year-round mindset for folks like us, is there a specific sound, smell, or moment that instantly transports you back to the childlike thrill of those early Halloweens? And you can't say pumpkin spice.
Yeah, yeah. There's a few things. There's definitely a few things. I will say, like, I probably every hunter can relate to this, but the fog, the smell of fog, instantly like hits me. The smell of latex from an old mask, it definitely takes me back there. Sound wise, there's the group Midnight Syndicate. That's a big one. I feel like that I just remember hearing that at the front gates of Not Scary Farm the first couple of years I ever went. So that always takes me back. I'm not just saying this because you're on the call, but you're well aware I'm a big Seasons of Screams fan. The old Not Scary Farm documentary that you helped put together. But I don't think anything puts me into the Halloween spirit and mindset and ready for haunt season more than that does, and just because of all the nostalgia that's wrapped up in that awesome little documentary. But then, walking into a store and smelling, I hate to say whatever pumpkin spice, cinnamon, whatever it is, and then seeing all the Halloween decorations is just it's fun. It definitely takes me back to the reason we all love Halloween.
I love all of it. And yeah, the smell of the aisles filled with new
Mhm.
Halloween stuff at like whatever, a Target or wherever,
I'm not sure
Spirit.
what that is, but we all know what it is,
We do, and I love it, and I'm glad that Season of Screams still makes you feel that way. I'm always brought back to the hard work that it took to put that whole thing together, but I'm happy that some folks like you enjoy it. Now, listen, at the end of the day, you have created, I could say this, you have created some of the most compelling scare attractions on the planet and the entire Halloween theme park industry. What do you feel, and you've kind of touched upon it, but just more directly, what do you feel is a secret? Maybe not all the secrets, but a secret as to making guests emotionally invest in a scare or a narrative that you are presenting.
I don't even know if I could point to a single thing. I think the attractions that I have put out into the world, I feel like become obsessed with them in the development of them, and spend a lot of time, probably way too much time, really digging through every single detail of them, sitting there and staring at the layout for hours, just tweaking little tiny things to make sure everything is going to work the way we want it to. And, the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into the production and builds of everything. So I don't know. I think it being probably unhealthily dedicated and obsessed with the attraction that we're putting together, and really minding the details. But it's hard to lock it down to one thing, I would say, because even they've all been so different, all the different attractions we've done. And yeah, there are some commonalities, and I was some scares that we've reskinned and reused in different implementations, but they're all pretty vastly different at their core. So that's a
It
tough
is.
question.
It is, but you did very well, so I appreciate it. Now, one last final fun, lighthearted question. What is your go-to horror movie comfort watch when the Halloween season hits, and why?
Probably Trick or Treat. That seems to be the movie that I can't let a Halloween season go by without watching a couple times. And I think it's just because it checks all the boxes of what we love about Halloween. It's a really fun, scary, gory film, and yeah, it hits the mark when it comes to Halloween fun for me. So that I would say Halloween is I'm sorry, Trick or Treat and Halloween are probably the two films that I have to watch every Halloween season.
Both are pure classics. I love them. Where can people find out about you and Plague Productions?
Yeah, plagueproductions.com, and then we have, I don't know, social media. So I'm not sure what the social media handles are, but Plague Productions we're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all those different things. And we're a bunch of haunt Halloween nerds and love talking to other haunt Halloween like-minded nerds. So, please encourage everybody to reach out, connect, follow along with the fun things we're doing. We're a bunch of weird Halloween kids traveling the country making cool stuff. So
We are. Amen to that. Jon,
yes.
thank you so much for working the fright shift. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Now, thank you for having me. In 5 years, when this is the most popular Halloween haunt podcast, don't forget about me.
We can never forget you, Jon. A huge thank you to Jon Cooke, a true fear architect. His insights remind us that the architecture of fear is as much about heart as it is horror. Now, let's rewind the reel and slip into the sepia tones of haunt history and how it's impacted me in Echoes of the Past.
Echoes of the past. The origins of scare experiences.
Halloween isn't just about costumes and candy anymore. It's turned into this outrageous mix of fear and excitement, especially thanks to theme parks diving headfirst into the scary season. Over time, they've taken Halloween entertainment to a whole new level, and honestly, that's what got me hooked on creating immersive horror experiences. Now, haunted attractions have been around for a really long time, but things really took off at the theme park level when Knott's Berry Farm in Southern California launched Knott's Scary Farm in 1973. That first year, it was a big deal. Rethemed rides, a creepy walkthrough in the now-gone Haunted Shack attraction, and the birth of the Scare Zone in Ghost Town. All those things had live monsters to scare the guests. And local television horror host Seymour, master of the macabre, helped kick off the festivities too. What started as a handful of scary touches soon exploded into full-on haunted mazes, terrifying scare zones, and a whole army of live monsters scaring and lurking in the shadows. It was the beginning of something huge. The kind of immersive, actor-driven horror that theme parks still use today. Fast forward to now, and Halloween events at theme parks are massive productions. There are dedicated creative teams crafting elaborate narratives, set designs that look straight out of Hollywood, and scares that terrify millions of people. After Knott's proved Halloween could be a big deal, other theme parks jumped in with their own spin on the scare factor. Universal Studios, Halloween Horror Nights. These guys turned horror films into real-life nightmares with haunted houses based on blockbuster franchises. Over at Busch Gardens Hallows Scream, a perfect mix of high-intensity thrills and terrifying haunted attractions. Then you have Six Flags Fright Fest. They transformed their parks into chilling scare zones and mazes, but kept their legendary coasters running, so screams were coming from everywhere. And those are just a few. Each park took the idea and ran with it, redefining what Halloween entertainment could be. It wasn't long before the success of Halloween events in the United States started inspiring other parks across the globe. There's tons of people that have made that happen, but one name that's a common thread through a lot of these events is Tom Merman, the current president of Universal Destinations and Experiences Pacific Rim. He oversees Universal Studios Hollywood, Universal Studios Japan, and Universal Beijing Resort. But before that, he was chief executive of Ocean Park in Hong Kong that had one of the largest Halloween events in the world. And before that, he got his start in the late 1970s at Knott's Berry Farm. And he knew how successful Scary Farm was and still is to this day. He's one of many, many people who have helped Halloween go global at these theme parks. They've embraced the season in their own unique ways. For example, Everland in South Korea, they've created experiences based on Netflix's Stranger Things and the zombie drama All of Us Are Dead. Over at Holiday Park, Germany's Halloween Fright Nights, they have haunted mazes, scare zones, and pure nightmare fuel. Then over at Toverland in the Netherlands, their Halloween model follows the same model as many parks in the United States. Family-friendly in the daytime, then terrifying Halloween nights for older guests once the sun sets. And then something a little bit different, Hong Kong Disneyland, they even have Journey into Halloween Town, a walk-through attraction inspired by The Nightmare Before Christmas. Now, each of these events takes inspiration from Knott's and Universal's scare tactics, mixing them with local traditions to create something fresh. So, for those of you who may not be familiar, Universal's Halloween Horror Nights is a huge deal at both Orlando and Hollywood, but they each bring something unique to the table. Hollywood leans into its cinematic roots. The Terror Tram lets you wander through their famous backlot as a scare experience, but Hollywood was also the birthplace of iconic horror films like Frankenstein and Dracula, which influenced some of their classic horror-based attractions. Orlando, on the other hand, in my opinion, they've absolutely perfected the mix of IP, intellectual property-based mazes, and original attractions. And one of my favorites is Jack the Clown. He's an HHN exclusive icon, and horror fans, me included, love him. We adore him. And, well, we can't forget Darkmoor at Universal's Epic Universe and Universal Horror Unleashed in Las Vegas and soon to be in Chicago. These are permanent horror attractions, but those are stories for another day. On the flip side, though, I'm going to share some information about me and get a little bit personal with all of this stuff because Knott's Scary Farm didn't just entertain me, it shaped my entire creative path. I first went to Knott's Scary Farm a long time ago in 1987. I was a kid. And I was terrified. Monsters were scaring everywhere, the incredible atmosphere, my heart was pounding. But instead of running away, I got hooked. Year after year, I kept coming back, soaking in the details, how they built the sets, the way the scares were designed, the immersive storytelling. So what started as fear turned into admiration. I didn't just want to be scared. I wanted to create those kinds of experiences. That passion led me into being one of the monsters at Knott's Scary Farm for many years, and also led me into themed entertainment and immersive horror attractions. So whether I'm working on a huge theme park event or an independent haunt, my goal is always the same: to recreate that perfect mix of fear and excitement, just like I felt at Knott's Scary Farm when I was a kid all those years ago. Halloween theme park events have completely changed the entertainment industry, shaping horror experiences worldwide. But beyond that, they've had a personal impact on millions of people, mine included. From that first night at Knott's to creating my own scary experiences, this journey has always been about capturing those unforgettable moments, the fear, the excitement, the artistry. As the screams fade and the fog lifts, what remains are our memories. Think about the rush of terror, the thrill of the unknown, the art behind every chilling experience you have encountered. In the end, these haunted worlds are more than just spectacles today and tomorrow. They are echoes of the past. And just like that, our shift has come to a close. Huge thanks to our fear architect, Jon Cooke. Within these stories is the blueprint of fear itself, how we face it, how it transforms us, how we create it, and sometimes how it sets us free. If you liked what you heard, do us a favor and tell a friend to tell a friend. Give us a good review, 5 stars, and help spread the word. Thanks for spending your nightmares with us. I'm your host, Ted Doherty. Beast wishes, and until we meet again, it's officially time to clock out of Working the Fright Shift. Working the Fright Shift is written and produced by Ted Doherty. No portion of this recording may be reproduced, distributed, or transmitted in any form or by any means without the prior written and express permission of the producer. All opinions expressed in this recording are solely those of the individuals and do not necessarily reflect the views of the producer or affiliates. For more details, visit www.workingthefrightshift.com. Copyright 2025, Ted Doherty. All rights reserved.